Hi everyone, and welcome to Uncovered Vintage Fashion Magazine Review. I'm Stephanie, and I've been collecting and selling vintage fashion magazines for over 20 years.
And I'm Morley. I'm a former copywriter and am now an award-winning playwright and screenwriter.
Together, we will examine some of your favorite vintage fashion magazines from the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
On Uncovered, we'll discuss some of the magazine's models, layouts, and did I mention the models?
And we'll also review some of the ads and articles that make these magazines such a great piece of pop culture history. So, fasten your seatbelts and let's get uncovered! Hey everyone, and welcome to Uncovered Vintage Fashion Magazine Review Podcast, Episode 10. Today's podcast will be reviewing Harper's Bazaar magazine, November 1990.
So Steph, does 1990 or November of 1990 mean anything to you?
1990, I had just started a new job, and of course it's the beginning of a new decade. So the first year in a new decade is always very exciting, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what were you doing at that time?
I had just moved into my new place, so I left home, and I was 1 month in. So for me, I was like a swinging bachelor who wasn't working. But it was an exciting time to be on my own, and I learned lots. So let's talk about November of 1990 in particular. So some of the most popular films, or I should say the new releases of November 1990 included Home Alone.
Oh.
Remember that one?
That feels like a million years ago. Was that really 1990?
Yeah, scary,
Wow.
huh? Yeah. I think Kevin has grandchildren. Who knows? Misery, based on the Stephen King novel with Kathy Bates and James Caan.
What a chilling movie. One of my favorites, actually.
And the other one, of course, was Rocky V. It's hard to believe that they did 5 Rockies by 1990.
Yeah, wow.
I know. And as far as the music goes, Ice Ice Baby. Vanilla Ice.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's one of our most proudest periods of music in history. Love Takes Time by your buddy, Mariah Carey. Yeah.
And everyone, I want to tell you what a wonderful husband I have. So for my birthday, he actually took me to the Mariah Carey concert. And let me tell you, he is not a fan of R&B. But he sat through it and he loved every minute.
But this is coming from the same woman who also came with me to the Three Stooges Museum. So,
but it was a fantastic concert. She was amazing, and Love Takes Time is a beautiful song, and she did it. She killed it.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because Love Takes Time, she was an hour and a half late. So she must really love us.
Yes, she was. Mariah, bad girl.
Very bad. And lastly, More Than Words Can Say. Remember that song?
Yes,
by Alias.
Yes.
So it was a good year for films. The music, well, that's another discussion. But why don't we start with Harper's Bazaar of November 1990. Take it away, Steph.
So our cover model is Melanie Griffith. The photo is by Matthew Rolston. Hair by Sally Hershberger. Makeup by Gary Berkowitz. And the fashion editor is Freddie Liba. I'm going to go ahead and read you some of the headlines on this magazine. So, Harper's Bazaar. Looks sensational for less. Wise buys. Mix and match with...
wise buy.
I should have seen that one coming. Mix and match with style. Special section, New Age Health. Hands-on healers versus modern medicine. And, of course, Melanie. So, Melanie Griffith. She's wearing a bright color-blocked wool jacket and...
Now, I'm going to interrupt you.
Mm-hmm.
You see, when you said Melanie, so I'm of the age where when I think of Melanie, you know what I think of? I think of that song, Brand New Key. I've got a brand new pair of roller skates. You got a brand new key. So she went by the name of Melanie.
Oh, okay.
So the singer's name was Melanie Safta. She was like a folk singer, and she had like a #1 hit with that catchy earworm of a song, Brand New Key.
Right. Okay.
So she went by the name Melanie. So when I think of Melanie, I don't think of Melanie Griffith. I think of Melanie Safta.
Different Melanie on the cover.
I think so.
Yes.
Sorry about that, but go on.
No, don't be. So, Melanie's wearing a bright, color-blocked wool jacket and ribbed knit romper by Christian Lacroix. Melanie Griffith, of course, is a star of Working Girl. She's the daughter of actress Tippi Hedren. And you may know Tippi Hedren. She starred in the movie The Birds.
Yes, in fact, we were looking at getting her for one of my movies at the time of Mile and a Soul. And we wanted her to play the mother. But nonetheless, didn't work out, but that's perfectly fine. But yeah, Tippi Hedren.
Yes.
Worked with Alfred Hitchcock on The Birds.
Yeah. Very iconic movie, The
Yeah.
Birds. Horror movie.
And apparently it traumatized her for life.
I could see why.
Yeah.
You would hate birds forever.
I'm not a big fan of birds
I'm
anyway.
not a huge fan either, especially when they're flying overhead.
Yeah, or geese.
But
go on.
I digress.
Yes.
Melanie's daughter is actress Dakota Johnson, and some of you may or may not know her from 50 Shades of Grey, among other films.
Mm-hmm.
Her dad, that is Dakota Johnson's dad, is Don Johnson.
Right, from
Miami Vice.
Exactly.
So, very interesting legacy, the 3 generations of actresses, entertainers. So I just did want to discuss a little bit
about Freddie Liba.
A little bit about Freddie Liba. So Freddie Liba is a top stylist. He worked with Andy Warhol on the team that launched Interview magazine. Interesting. He's worked as creative director of Harper's Bazaar, as well as other Condé Nast publications. Freddie's worked with all the top photographers: Richard Avedon, Irving Penn, Helmut Newton.
But he hasn't worked with your father. Now your father takes
no.
So Alan Bernstein, if you're listening, takes amazing pictures at all the family functions.
All the family functions.
So I don't know. He hasn't worked with him, so I don't think he can say he's worked with all the top photographers.
True, but there's still time.
Okay, exactly.
Yeah. As well, Freddie Leiba's also worked with celebrity style icons, including Diana Ross, Janet Jackson, Jessica Lange. I could go on and on. Freddie's got a very impressive resume as long as my arm.
I'm sorry, your arm isn't that long. Now, if you said he has a resume as long as my arm, wow, that'd be impressive. But yours, I'm sorry. No offense.
Freddie has a resume longer than my arm, like way longer than my arm.
How about both of your arms put together?
Maybe more than that, too.
I think so, good.
Okay. And one thing that bugs me a little bit, I have to say, is that the stylist is not ever included in the cover credits. And I really wish that the stylists were. I think they're such an integral part of the fashion photography.
Well, this is why we started Uncovered, so we can give voices to those perhaps who don't in the magazines themselves.
Right. But I have to say that Freddie Liba is very good about contacting me on Instagram, pointing out what photos that he's worked on. And at that point, I can go ahead and tag him on the photo. And I really, really so appreciate that. So, Freddie, if you're listening, thank you so much.
Yeah, Freddie, you're a rock star. Now, I don't know if you like rock music. If not, then you're a jazz star or a folk star. Whatever it is, you're a star.
So this is a very beautiful cover, I have to say. Melanie is photographed against a backdrop that's styled to look like the sky.
Yeah, it looks like a blue sky with some faint clouds in the background.
Yeah, she's seated. It's a very beautiful shot of this jacket, and this jacket is gorgeous. It's a military-inspired, multicolor, color block jacket.
Looks like a navy type of jacket with a navy theme. I think I see some anchors on there. I'm not sure.
Gold buttons, just beautiful.
Beautiful, yeah.
So that's the cover, Harper's Bazaar, 1990.
Great, thanks. So I wanted to draw everyone's attention to this really great ad on pages 42 to 45. It's for Timex. And Steph, perhaps you can read on the left-hand side of the page what it says.
The most remarkable people in this world don't appear on movie screens or in sports arenas or on television tubes. They drive cabs and work in offices and operate machinery. They're just ordinary people like us who happen to have experienced something extraordinary and survived. Right.
So you know the old Timex ads? Do you remember what their famous slogan was? Do. Okay. It's
Sorry, I'm drawing a blank here.
It takes a licking
and keeps on ticking. Right. Okay.
So on these different pages, they're showing these ordinary people and their close-ups of their faces and talking about some extraordinary event that happened and how the Timex watch still works. So would you mind just reading the first one, for example, very quickly?
Yes. So Lynn Hill, the world's top female rock climber, fell 85 feet and landed on her tailbone after she failed to secure the knot in her safety harness. A 20-foot fall can be fatal. Her worst injuries were a dislocated elbow and a sore butt. Lynn is wearing a dress watch from the Timex Women's Fashion Collection. It has a very secure buckle. It costs about $45.
So how clever is this? It's not just this amazing story about what happened to this person as there are on the other pages. Oh, by the way, it costs this amount of money. Anyway, I don't want to make too much of it, but it's a very, very clever ad, very tasteful, and it's sort of a new take on the keeps on ticking. So that's all.
So page 132 brings us to a layout entitled High Tide. It's a 6-page color layout. Photographer is Philip Dixon. Model is Gisele Zelauy. I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Hair is Alexis from Maud's Hair. And makeup by Soraya Boulay. So I'm going to read the caption. High tide. The status silk scarf takes a creative turn. As a top, a skirt, an accent. Added to great basics, it's the latest way to stretch your fashion options with original flair.
Well, let me have a go at this from my actor point of view. Now, first of all, high tide. Tide is actually spelled Tied, meaning that the fashion is tied.
Yes.
So how about this, Steph? The status silk scarf takes a creative turn as a top, a skirt, an accent, added to great basics. It's the latest way to stretch your fashion options with original flair.
Love it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So this layout, it's funny that in the caption it says that this is the latest way to stretch your fashion options. I thought that was interesting since this is basically the same layout that we saw in the 70s where they're showing you how to wear a scarf. So this is a scarf layout photographed in an outdoor setting. Looks very European, doesn't it, Morley?
It does. Now, would you consider the pattern on the scarf to be a little bit of a Glenchuck? Is that what you would?
Houndstooth. That's a houndstooth. So it's a Christian Dior scarf she's wearing in the first page, and it's houndstooth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for clearing
Orange,
that.
black, and white.
Okay.
Yes.
Good to know I don't know my hound from my... Anyway, so that's good.
So the model, as I said before, is Gisele Zelauy. She's a Brazilian model. The silk scarves are worn around her neck, as a halter top, as a skirt, cummerbund, head wrap, even a sling for a cast, which I thought was interesting. Look at this. In case you break your arm, you can get a designer's scarf to use as a sling. Not a bad use of it, I suppose.
Gee.
And scarves are by Christian Dior, Hermes, Paloma Picasso, and others. So that's high tide.
That's great. So on pages 55 and 58, there's this really great section called Fantastic Faux, F-A-U-X, meaning false or fake. And Steph, maybe you can read what the top portion of it says.
Fantastic faux. Who says there's nothing like the real thing? Here and on the following pages, we show you that imitation can, indeed, be the best form of flattery. In many cases, it's certainly the more reasonably priced. You can't mistake the appeal of fake. Great imposters.
Exactly. So what they've done is they've shown some really excellent examples in history where people have been faked or things have been faked. So, for example, the first one is in 1971. There was an author by the name of Clifford Irving, and he managed to fake the Howard Hughes will. So everyone who was around at that time may remember the infamous Howard Hughes will. And it went on for years. So what he did was he actually faked his will, thinking that Howard Hughes was too senile and collecting his toenail clippings to even fight this. Well, he was wrong. And he ended up spending 17 months in jail once he was caught. Another one involved Anastasia. I can't pronounce her last name, but she was the daughter of Tsar Nicholas II. And of course, that's what precipitated World War I. So she was heir to, I think, a $75 million fortune. And again, they were imposters saying that, well, they were related to her or they were her daughter or relatives. It wasn't until, I think, 1971 or somewhere in the 70s that it was actually determined that all of them were false and the case was closed. The last one on this particular page really caught my interest. I thought this was just absolutely amazing and, in fact, may have changed the course of history. So, Steph, perhaps you can read this last one here.
Sure. M.E. Clifton James was a British actor whose greatest role was the impersonation of Field Marshal Montgomery. Uncannily resembling the World War II hero, James was sent to vacation in conspicuous style in North Africa, while the real commander was in Britain preparing the invasion of Normandy. German spies spotted James and wrongly deduced that the attack had been postponed.
I mean, that is absolutely unbelievable. Who knew this? So, had they realized that he was still really in Britain, the real commander, maybe they would have been better prepared. But in fact, they saw what they thought was him vacationing in Africa and thought, okay, well, I guess we can relax for a bit as the attack is not imminent.
Oh, my.
And next thing you know, yeah. That is absolutely incredible. But once again, this is one of those hidden gems that you'll find in every single one of these vintage magazines. I'm not going to talk about the other page, which with the other imposters, but this just blew my mind. I love this stuff. You're not going to find it anywhere else, to my knowledge. And again, when we talk about nostalgia, wow.
So page 138 brings us to a layout entitled Fast Times. It's 6 pages. Photographer is Philip Dixon. Hair and makeup, Dawn Jacobson of Bumble and Bumble. The model, I do not know her name.
Bumble and Bumble? Does that mean they drop everything? Anyway.
No.
Okay, just curious.
That's me.
Or maybe they make honey on the
Start calling me
side.
Bumble and Bumble.
True.
So I'm going to go ahead and read the caption. Fast Times, the inside fashion track. Here on these 6 pages, photographed at the Denver Grand Prix, Calvin Klein's new jeanswear collection finishes first every time.
Indeed. Now, do you think, by the way, Fast Times has anything to do with Fast Times Ridgemont High?
Very possible.
Yeah.
Different time period, but I think they're referring to the fact that this is photographed at the Denver Grand Prix.
I know, but I think Fast Times at Ridgemont High came out a few years prior, so maybe...
Could be
a little tie in there?
Definitely. So these are sepia photos. The fashion is Calvin Klein's new jeanswear collection, as I said, photographed at the Denver Grand Prix. The model, I do not know her name, but she looks a little bit, actually it's Morley that said she reminds him of Madonna.
She looks like a cross between Madonna, who beat up Brigitte Bardot. That's what I think.
Yeah, she looks a little sort of tough.
A little tough.
The clothing is casual. And this would be of interest probably to any racing fan, I would think, because the other model in this layout is Danny Sullivan.
So Danny Sullivan, who was born in 1950, would make him around 40 years old here. He had 170 starts and 17 victories. So very, very successful race car driver. Started his career in 1983. Had numerous pole positions. So very, very nice layout.
Great layout for fans of fashion or fans of race car driving for sure.
Absolutely. On page 98, there's this really fantastic ad for Absolute Vodka. So for those of you who are not familiar, Absolute is spelled A-B-S-O-L-U-T. There's no E. So Absolute. And what it is, I'm trying to describe it, is there is a... You know what, Steph? You're much better at this than I am. Why don't you describe the picture in the ad for me?
So Absolute uses this format for its advertising frequently. And what it is, it's just a photo of the bottle, but disguised in various ways. So here they've taken an orange peel.
Actually, this one, I don't know if it's orange or if it's lemon.
Excuse me, lemon peel.
Lemon,
you're right.
yes.
They've taken a lemon peel and sort of wrapped it around the bottle.
Yeah, so it looks like it's the lemon peel itself in the shape of a bottle, right?
Yes.
And it's actually called, in this particular case, this product is Absolute Citron. So the bottle itself looks like a lemon peel that's kind of being unwrapped, but it is in the shape of the bottle. But what I also like as well is, what is the tagline underneath?
Absolute appeal.
Absolute appeal. That's what I want to focus on, because it is the lemon peel. So absolute appeal, brilliant.
That's a clever play on words.
It really is genius. Absolute appeal. So for those of you who love lemon-flavored vodka, I bet this is probably delicious and a very clever and a concise ad.
So on page 150, we have a layout entitled First Rate Finds. I'm going to go ahead and read you the caption. New collections from Europe's top designers put high style within more reasonable reach. From the elegance of an Ungaro to a Grand Moschino masterpiece, they offer some of the season's most impressive looks at attainable prices. The photographer is Philip Dixon, model is Yasmin LeBon, hair by Alexis, and makeup by Soraya Boulay.
Now, Yasmin LeBon, why does that name ring a bell?
So Yasmin LeBon is a British model, a very successful British model, married to Simon LeBon since 1985.
And they said it wouldn't last.
What do they know?
Exactly.
So this layout is basically on the theme of this magazine, and the theme of this magazine has been dressing for less. So a lot of the designers around this time came out with lower end lines, cheaper, more affordable lines. Okay, so these are
now. Can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Yes.
There is another theme to this magazine, and it's actually about Fantastic Faux. So I noticed throughout the magazine They have like faux crocodile, faux leopard. So there seems to be a recurring theme, and I guess it's to keep your budget in check, to look amazing, but perhaps wear something that's not necessarily real, and maybe like high quality fakes, if you will.
Yes. And of course, a lot of people like to wear fake furs as opposed to the real thing. I mean,
right, and costume jewelry as opposed to the real thing.
Getting back to this layout, the photos are sepia. It's photographed outdoors. And this layout is showcasing pieces from European designers' lower-priced lines, such as Inscription Rykiel, Yves Saint Laurent Variation, Moschino Cheap and Chic, among others. The clothing is fitted jackets and matching skirts, faux fur coat, coat dress, heels, and the patterns include your favorite, houndstooth, brocade, and pinstripe.
So what's the difference between houndstooth and Glenchuck? Do you know?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
But this is houndstooth.
Right.
I love houndstooth.
Houndstooth is very classy.
Sophisticated.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm noticing that the skirts are, actually, these are shorts.
What? Those are shorts?
This looks like, they're shorts.
Wow.
And the skirts are all skirts, shorts. They're all above knee, I'm noticing. Okay. Worn with heels, suits. I dressed similarly to this in the 90s.
Me too.
At work.
Wow, me too. What a coincidence.
This definitely resonates for me.
And me too.
Resonates with me.
Yes. Okay.
And that's it for first-rate finds.
I like the lighting, by the way. The lighting is very interesting and all the shadows. I used to study a little bit of film noir. And I just find that the makeup, along with the lighting, the fact that it's in black and white, is sort of like and also in this particular shot on page 154, she's wearing a pinstripe suit or a pinstripe jacket. So to me, it almost reminds me of those film noir gangster movies.
It's gorgeous. You know what? You could mount any one of these photos as wall art.
And
beautiful.
We know that a lot of your customers do.
They do.
Yeah.
And by the way, you can find this magazine as well as others in my stores. I have an eBay and an Etsy store. The name of my store is Great Mags, GR8 MAGZ. You
can also find us on Twitter for Uncovered VFMR and in Instagram,
Uncovered_VFMR.
And if you want to reach us by email, you can reach us at uncoveredpodcast@yahoo.com. The last ad I wanted to talk about was for Virginia Slims on page 107. I find this ad kind of comical, but not necessarily in a good way. So, Steph, maybe you can describe the ad.
So the model is smiling toward the camera, and she's about to write in a daybook.
And she's also wearing houndstooth, by the way.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Houndstooth.
Wow.
Big fad for 1990, apparently.
Clearly. So can you read to us what the caption says?
Read the book you won't be able to put down for a year.
Right. So what they're basically talking about here is Virginia Slims, the cigarette maker. They're offering a book. It's basically a calendar. And maybe if you can read that as well, Steph, what it says underneath, what the book really is.
It's fun. It's practical. It's full of amazing facts, quotable quotes, and great fashions, not to mention plenty of room for important dates, notes, and phone numbers. Plus, every month you'll discover another adventure in the life of Mary Gould, time traveler, all while keeping track of your own adventures.
Right, and trying to forget the fact that you may have some black spots on your lungs and that maybe you're overdue for an appointment with your doctor. I mean, what better way to forget all the health effects of all the nicotine and tar from the cigarettes? Wow, so I was just amazed that a cigarette maker is offering a yearly planner. Well, anyway, it's something different, and of course...
If you're still around next year,
I didn't want to say that.
Oh my gosh.
I mean...
I had to go there. Sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry, audience.
And Mary Gould, Time Traveler. Maybe they could have had Mary Gould, Time Doctor. Wow, I was just stunned.
But you know, these Virginia Slims ads have been around forever, and they're some of the best advertising, and they had some of the greatest models. Cheryl Tiegs, Carol Alt modeled for them. Terry Farrell, before her stint on Star Trek, was a model, and she modeled for Virginia Slims. So, great advertising. Very effective.
I just found it comical that they're having like a daily planner for the following year if you live so long. Anyway, that's all I have in this ad. But just, again, you never know what you're going to find in any of these pieces of pop culture history.
So page 163 is a 4-page article with photos entitled Body Images. The model is unknown to me. Photos by Philip Dixon, hair by John Caruso, and makeup by Joanne Gair. I'm going to go ahead and read the caption. Intriguing fantasy for exciting holiday nights, flirtatious body art, painted on with makeup pencils and placed for maximum dramatic impact. So, as I just said, the article and photos are of body art without the commitment, the use of makeup to create faux tattoos on your shoulder, back, ankle, or hand.
Now I noticed that the model on the first page here seems to have a face tattoo. Now this particular one is of a few roses. Now, when it comes to face tattoos, I much prefer this one than Mike Tyson's. I don't know if you remember his. Now his is permanent, and he looks
pretty intense.
Yeah, yeah. This one here at least is tasteful, but the one that he has, like the Warrior, whatever it is, but this is very cool.
And it's removable.
And
so
that's
you don't
the
have
best
to
part.
go to work the next day or whatever you're
or
doing.
apply for a job, and you have a face tattoo, and they think, would you be the CEO of a company with roses on your face? Next. So.
Now, actually, this photo is interesting because I think that's a back tattoo.
Oh, really?
Superimposed against her face.
Oh.
You see that? I think that's her neck. That's her shoulder. Anyhow,
okay.
I think
Well,
that's
very clever.
I just figured that out now because it's
what
it's
a
odd.
clever ad. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow,
So,
brilliant.
Let's talk just a little bit about the makeup artist Joanne Gair. So she contributes to this one-page article. She had recently completed a job as makeup artist to Madonna on her world tour. Pretty impressive. So Joanne Gair is from New Zealand. She specializes in body paint. And her work's been featured in many Sports Illustrated swimsuit issues, but she's perhaps best known, or very well known, for her body painting on Demi Moore on the cover of Vanity Fair 1992. It was Demi's birthday issue, and this Harper's Bazaar article predates that cover by 2 years.
I see.
So 2 years later, she was doing this, and I don't know if you remember it, but Demi Moore is on the cover looking very beautiful, and instead of clothing, she's wearing this full body quote-unquote tattoo.
You know, I must have missed
paint.
That one. I don't know how, but I must.
Oh, you have to go back. It's amazing.
Right.
Anyone who hasn't seen that, you have to check that out. Incredible work. So the model here, she's wearing removable body art. It looks great. The colors.
It looks like a strapless type of dress. I'm not sure what she's wearing. I noticed that on her, around her calf, she has some sort of hieroglyphic type of body art.
It almost looks tribal, doesn't it?
It really does. I think that we need the Rosetta Stone to understand this. So if anyone happens to have an extra Rosetta Stone lying around, please let us know. We can try to translate what the art says.
Now, the photographs are beautiful, but they're not exactly sepia. They're color photos, but they're done with a yellow lighting.
Right, yellow tinge. And by the way, for those who are listening, I was able to figure out what the tattoo means. I believe in ancient cuneiform, it means will not get out of bed for less than $10,000 a day. That's apparently what it... Oh, sorry, 10,000 shekels a day. My apologies, yes. So, very interesting. Go on.
That's it for this. That's
very
it for
interesting.
this layout, yeah.
Although I do see on the following page, there's a hand tattoo. And it looks like an ancient turtle. Is that what that is?
Yeah.
It looks like an ancient turtle. And again, it looks very Egyptian. So I find this is very interesting too.
Yeah, the different styles of tattoos, if you will.
And I also like the lighting.
Body art.
And again, look at the lighting, how the lighting is very deliberate. So you can see one side of her face and the other side is dark. But on the same side, you see her hand with the turtle tattoo, which is lit up. It's just really fascinating.
Amazing.
Again,
that's the magic of Philip Dixon.
Philip Dixon, if you're listening, I think, again, just genius. Brilliant. And even the wall, the model on page 166, the wall behind her, it almost looks like an ancient wall. It looks very old. So really, really clever.
Well done.
Yeah, whoever designed the set, whoever did the photography, well, we know it's Philip Dixon, the makeup, it really is a piece of art. And that's why so many of your customers love to hang these on their walls, and I get it.
They look fantastic framed.
Absolutely.
I always say that, but it's true.
Well, especially the black and white ones where you have a black frame really shows off the pictures to their full potential.
And you know what? Going further on this theme with affordable luxury, it's an affordable way to mount your favorite photographer's photos on your wall.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's great.
So that does it for episode number 10.
Thanks for listening.
See you next time. Thank you for listening to Uncovered Vintage Fashion Magazine Review Podcast.
Uncovered was produced by Morley Schulman, with music by David Renda and logo design by Alan Lipman.
So remember, if you liked Uncovered, be sure to tell 2 friends about it.
And I'll tell 2 friends.
And so on, and so on, and so on.